Hey guys, welcome back to Honey in the Rock. I'm Sophie and this is Kayla.
Hey guys.
So Kayla and I became bestie girls at camp this summer. Now this is coming out later into the fall, but um it really was sweet just to like get to know her and she like showed up and I was like, okay, she's cool, let's be friends. And we were. We had lots of porch conversations
hmm
and it just was really sweet. So here we are now. Kayla, tell us where you're from, where you go to college.
I am from Ackworth, Georgia, which is like northwest of Atlanta, and I go to the University of North Georgia.
And she plays softball.
I play softball there,
She's our
yeah.
athlete of the bunch. Um, and then, well, I was gonna tell a story about us, but there's kind of a lot of stories, so I couldn't think of one.
There's plenty.
So they just might not be getting a story because I can't think of just one story. We spent a lot of time at Fuji,
We did.
which is a Japanese restaurant, and like we could easily peer pressure the other one into going to get it.
Yes.
Um, I feel like that might be the most important thing about us.
Yeah.
We were always down for
We like to
Fuji
eat
run.
together. Especially that.
Okay, sweet. You want to dive into your testimony and you can like start wherever.
All
Just
right,
pretend
cool.
like we're sitting on the front. Aw, are you sitting on
Oh,
your front porch?
I am.
I should have sat on my front porch.
Go out there right now.
Dang it. Okay,
It's okay.
sorry, that was distracting.
Um, all right. So I grew up in a family that knew Jesus, but it was more like in your head than in your heart, and so um it wasn't like quite a priority for us to go to church and like really like dive into that as a family. Um like I had aunts, uncles, grandparents that would do those kind of things, but um if we didn't see them that often, then like it wasn't like it didn't really stick for me, I guess. So like I always knew about Jesus growing up and like we'd go to church every now and then, but when my brother and I started playing sports, our weekends looked like going to the ballpark every Saturday and Sunday. And so we really enjoyed that. And so wasn't it still wasn't a priority for us to go to church, especially after that. And so um when I was in like elementary school, we were just always at the ballpark on the weekends, and so um that's just what my life looked like then. And at that point, I didn't see a need for a savior because I didn't understand the the I didn't really understand the severity of my sin then. And then I've got three cousins, and I'm so close with them. Me and my brother, we kind of grew up seeing them only a couple of times a year, but we always had so much fun. Having the kids at the grandparents' house, it was always a blast. And so we would always go to church with them when we went to visit them out in Louisiana. And I have a cousin, she was born the day after me, my twin, your twin,
On my
um,
birthday.
yes, on your birthday. And so we just grew up really close, and we were probably like 8 or 9, and she was getting baptized one of the Sundays that we were going to visit them. And so I got to watch her get baptized, which was really sweet. And as I was watching her get baptized that day, I was kind of like in like the back room of it, so I got to watch from the side instead of from the congregation. And I just remember standing there, and it was crazy, but I just heard a voice say to me, "You're ready." And like I knew what my conscience sounded like, and I was like, that is not me talking to myself. And I was just like, God's telling me I'm ready, and I had two reactions to that. Number one, I was just like, nuh-uh. And number two, I was like, how do I get ready? I was like, I want to be baptized, but I was like, I don't really know what that means and like what that looks like, and I'm not gonna do it till I was ready. And so after that, I didn't exactly know where to start. I'm still young, um, don't have that much control over my life, still with my parents a lot. And so, um, for starters, it just kind of looked like listening to the Christian radio station in the car instead of something else, and just like feeding my mind with that. I had a Bible, but I didn't really know where to start with that. I didn't really understand it when I tried to read it. We were still playing sports, we were still at the ballpark, and so it just kind of started out a little bit slower than I expected. But I get to middle school, and my sixth grade homeroom teacher, um, she was also the FCA leader for our middle school. And so I just spent a lot of time around her. Middle school is just like a crazy time. Like you're trying to figure out who you are and trying to find your friends and stuff. And like I didn't know I didn't know what kind of friends I wanted, but I knew what kind of friends I didn't want. And
Right.
so trying to find that was tough because, it's middle school, everybody's changing, everybody's trying to fit in, and be popular. And so I just knew I kind of didn't really want to fall into that crowd. Um, but it was kind of hard to find friends that also didn't want to do that. And so um, I just found myself talking to her a lot, hanging out in her classroom. Like even seventh and eighth grade, I would go back to her room, and like in the mornings, I would spend maybe like 30 minutes just helping her set up her classroom for the day, just getting to chit chat about our lives and um, sometimes Jesus, like she didn't even have to talk to me about it every day, but just who she was and how she poured into me. Those 3 years was really sweet, and um, I kept seeking, I kept learning, asking questions, and um, in eighth grade, I finally took a break from softball for a little bit, and I started going to church. I found a church near my house that one of my neighbors had gone to, and I liked it a lot there, and so I started going there, and then I decided to get baptized there when I was in eighth grade, and so that was really sweet. COVID hit after that, and so it just kind of like slowed me down in finding a youth group, pretty much because we couldn't go anywhere. But when I got to high school, one of my best friends, she dragged me to an FCA leadership meeting, and I had no idea what I was getting into that Wednesday morning, but um, that I mean, I was on it from ninth grade to I graduated, and that was one of the best things that could have ever happened in high school. Um, between her being the friend that she was, and then the FCA leaders that we had, like the teachers that poured into us, they made sure to teach us well, um, and lead us well, and I was very grateful for that. So that felt like I was kind of figuring it out on my own, and I got plugged into my church a little bit more, started serving with kids, and my junior and senior years, I got really plugged into the high school ministry that we had, which brought me a community of girls my age, and that was when I went to Fuge for the first time, was after my junior year when I started getting plugged in there, and so that was incredible, um, and that really propelled my faith after that, and just um, kind of taught me a lot about how everything is for Jesus and that we should be on fire like that for the Lord at all times, which I knew like going into school and playing softball, it was a big deal, but that just kind of opened my eyes a little bit more to that. And after going after my senior year when I went to Fuge, that um, just kind of like solidified that for me that I was like, okay, I'm gonna work here, and I'm gonna continue to push for that. And so that was really sweet. When I went to college, expecting a lot, um, playing softball and just like the college scene in general, and it was not fun to say the least. Lots of things happened, especially first semester, that just kind of like hit me one after the other, and um, like I didn't really know what to do with that, and all my friends were back at home. Like I took a step of faith in going to that school, because I felt the Lord leading me there, junior year of high school, and then I finally get there, and it all just kind of falls apart, and like I had seen the ways that He got me there in junior year, and then um, small details my senior year that kind of made it or like kind of solidified that decision for me. When I felt uneasy, he gave me peace about that in those details, and then I get to the school and almost all of those things just completely like fall out of my hands, and um it was kind of hard to handle that. Like all my friends were at home, and I didn't really have a community there um to get plugged into at first, and so that was tough trying to go through that. Um And then like the spring, it gets a little bit better as we start playing. We start figuring things out um, with our new coach and everything. And we push through, and then everything's going good. I think we go to the World Series, and I think we're leaving on a positive note. And then I go to my exit meeting, and it just kind of absolutely sends me right back to how I felt in the fall. And there's a lot of doubting, a lot of questioning going on, but um, and there's still some questions that I have, and a lot of trust in that aspect going on. But um, I definitely learned a lot of things at Fuge this year between the people that I met and even pouring out into my students and um, having to lead by example a lot. And so, um, still a little bit nervous about going back this fall, but also um, just kind of excited to see how the Lord uses all of those things for His glory.
Gosh, that's so good. I think it's just sweet how the Lord like pursues us.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's so clear in your story because I think we've talked about this before, but it's like evident that he was pursuing you. And if you didn't grow up with like, oh, you were you were at the softball field all summer or all Sundays, it's like so you weren't at church, but the Lord still pursued you. And so I think that was really sweet. And then he continued to do it. Like, okay, here's somebody at school that's going to talk to you, and then here's a friend that's going to pull you along. And so I think that's really sweet. And then even for the listener who's like, find the friend that you need to pursue
Yeah.
because they know Jesus and they want to love Jesus, but
Hmm.
their circumstances at home or just in life aren't making that like straight up easy. Like, how can we pursue that friend and love that friend well? Because like that's how you met Jesus, and so I think
Hmm.
that part is really sweet of your story. Um, but then just more towards like the end of it, of like expecting something and it not being what we think it's gonna actually look like. Um, and I feel like this is something I've been wrestling with a lot. And it's interesting because our stories are like different in the our expectations of things. But it's like this similar result of like, okay, I walked into a situation expecting one thing and it didn't look like that. But I
Hmm.
know God brought me there. And so then it was just this wrestling of like, Lord, like I know you were the one who opened this door. I'm confident in that, but why does it now look like this? Like I thought since you opened this door, it was going to end in something that looked beautiful and perfect, and then realizing like that's not what it was.
Yep.
And for you, it was like, okay, he clearly led you to this school to play softball here. He opened those doors. Okay, and then you got there, you're obedient, and then it didn't look like
Hmm.
exciting or like what you thought it would. And I feel like I've been in like relationships before where it's like, okay, I know the Lord opened the door to this, and now it's ended in this. This doesn't make sense because I know God was the one who opened that door. Um, but it's sweet, like sometimes getting to take a step back and being like, oh, well, the Lord was like sanctifying you in this, and the Lord was, growing you and pushing you, and you became more dependent on Him.
Yep.
Um, but I think that's just like an interesting thing when we know the Lord is opening a door, we step out in obedience, and then it doesn't look how we think it's going to look. And then
Hmm.
we're quick to being like, oh, God messed up.
Yeah.
It's like,
But
no, we didn't know what his plan was in the first place.
hmm.
Like, he didn't say, like, hey, you're going to go play softball here and it's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And you're going to play every minute and you're going to love everything about the team and you're going to love everything about this school
Hmm.
and it's going to be the best thing you've ever done. But that's not what he called you to. He called you to go play softball here.
Hmm.
Um, and it was actually for a greater purpose.
Yeah.
And so I think that's cool about your story that like it was hard and obedience doesn't always look like this perfect little sunshine and rainbow thing.
Yeah.
But the Lord still honors that obedience
Hmm.
and He still provides what you need as you're being obedient and He equips you for what you need as you're being obedient.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm excited to see like what it continues to play out to be because like that was just your first year and it was so hard, but like you had to grow so much
I did. Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
really meet the Lord and really depend on the Lord. So
Hmm.
then it's like, okay, this is exciting because then it's like, what else can He do
Yeah.
with this? Yes, that we said.
Hmm.
Um, and we're not in control of what he does with our yes. We're just called to be obedient to that. Um, and so it's really sweet to watch you walk in obedience and like just like the few months we've known each other, being like, oh, she's clearly on fire for the Lord, but in such a humble way of being like, here's my yes, um, even when it's not what's ideal for you. And that's just like very selfless of you, of like, okay, well, it would be easy for you just to like transfer to a school that would be easier where all your friends are, or it would be easier to drop this and do this. But you were still willing to like sacrifice for the sake of obeying because you know it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like, we see the depth of our sin so that we know the depth of the cross and how that changed our life. And it's like, okay, now this is changing how I speak and act and use my yeses and nos. And so I think that's really sweet. Um, that's like so evident in you. So that's adorable. You're adorable.
Oh, you're adorable.
Um, okay, this summer, what did you learn?
Hmm,
Well, there's probably a lot of things that we learned.
definitely.
Other than you learned that I'm a really good dancer. What else did you learn?
I kind of had that feeling before going in, and then you just proved it. And so, yeah,
Okay, good, good. Yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Right.
Um, yeah, like I said, I did learn a lot about like my softball story and stuff. Um, there were some people that I met that um had kind of walked through that before and that were able to pour into me. Um, and so I think one of my favorite lessons was that um God can and will use what you went through to encourage others and to build them up as they're walking through the same thing. Because um, the one specific person that poured into me, um, that was week 2, um, his story was pretty similar to mine, and just kind of the sports aspect that he was walking through. And so a lot of the things that he experienced and then that he did with his walk with the Lord, just like fed into me a lot. And by week 2, I was still kind of processing my year and my season. And like I wanted to give 100% to camp, but it was kind of hard because that was still in the back of my mind. And so getting to talk to him really allowed me to let go of that last little bit that I just couldn't shake. And I was able to just like fully pour myself into camp. And then I saw that, especially the next week, I had like 5, 6 students come up to me and ask me about sports specifically, or I was able to talk to them and they just kept asking questions about playing sports, whether in high school or going to college. And I was able to take what that guy had told me and shared with me and share what happened in my freshman year, and be able to share that with my students. And so it's um, cool to show them somebody that had walked through it and somebody that was walking through it, and then share that with them who could possibly walk through it one day. Um, and so it was really cool just to know that what I went through wasn't wasted, and it wasn't like not for a reason. And I remember thinking like, especially in the fall, like after my coach left, when we got new coaches and when I was going through all of my heart stuff, um while it was hard for me, like I remember praying, and this is before I even knew I got the job at Food. I was praying, I was like, if there's one student that um I can just tell about this season of my life and it's able to help them in the slightest way, then it's all worth it. And so I was able to talk to a lot of students that week and just all summer about um, my heart problems and about the struggles of college and sports and um, just being a Christian on those teams. And so being able to see the fruit of that and see those prayers being answered. Um, it was a good reminder that the Lord doesn't waste even the hard moments and that he is still evident through them. And you might not get to see exactly how it plays out in somebody's life, but like even the guy that shared with me his story way back when, um, like that was years before, and so maybe I won't even get to see all the fruit. Um, of my experiences until years down the road, but
Right,
um, just have to keep walking in obedience and um, knowing that the Lord will be faithful in that.
right. And it really is like the trust aspect of like, I
Hmm.
trust the Lord enough to walk in obedience because I know He's bigger
Yeah.
than whatever my situation is right now.
Hmm.
And that's just so sweet of like, okay, this wasn't what you expected. You still walked in obedience. You're still walking in obedience. And the Lord is blessing that. Um, in little ways of like having small conversations
Yep.
and the reminder of like nothing is wasted.
Hmm.
And you might not see that nothing is wasted right now, and maybe you'll never see it until we get to glory, but you might get to see it in 3 years, or you might
Yeah.
get to see it this summer, and whatever that looks like. I think is really sweet, of just like how the Lord works, and that um, it's so much greater than we could ever imagine. Like if you walked in and softball was
It's
exactly how you imagined, and it was just like so perfect and great and everything, like that would have been so cool. Um,
yeah.
but then like where would you be now with the Lord?
Uh,
Like
yeah.
it just sometimes like leads us to comfortability.
Hmm.
And um I feel like I had to see that like a lot in my life of like, okay, that season was hard. We can admit that that was hard. You had heart surgery, you had this, your coach left. Like nothing looked how you imagined it would.
Hmm.
Okay, but then now look where the Lord brought me.
Yep.
Um and I feel like there's just been season after season in my life where it was like in the moment of like this is hard, and then afterwards being like, wait, this is actually so sweet that the
Hmm.
Lord allows me to now be in this space.
Yeah.
So um,
Hmm.
I'm proud of you for letting the Lord use you, and I know this is encouraging to the people listening of just being like maybe they play a college sport or a high school sport or middle school sport, but maybe also they're just walking in obedience and it doesn't look how they expected it would. Um, it's encouraging to be like, but hold fast because the Lord is still good and He's bigger,
Yep.
and He's not going to waste what you're walking through.
Hmm.
And so, thanks for being willing to share
Of
and
course.
just serve and love so well. And thanks for
Absolutely.
being my friend.
Oh, for being my friend. I wish you were on this porch with me.
I just wish I could sit on that porch with you so badly.
Ugh, one day
Well,
we're gonna do it.
we're going to be reunited.
We are. I
I
can't
can't
wait.
wait. Well, I love you.
I love you.
Um, and thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.